What's up, everyone? This is Jay from Revolution Radio, and I wanted to take some time to talk about Syria, Turkey, and the Kurds. Um, so, the last episode I did, we talked about this, and um, all of my information at the time of recording was that Trump was going to restrain Turkey. I didn't hear any of the caveats that he had put into it, that they could continue with their invasion, but it had to be in a humanitarian fashion. And if they were to cross that humanitarian line, which it could not be vaguer, by the way. I don't even know if vaguer is a word, but it cannot be more vague. But then we will economically destroy them, quote unquote. Um, so the day after, Turkey did invade Syria, and they did about they did over 200 missile strikes. Um, they did connect with 181 of what they called terrorist sites. Now, mind you, Turkey considers all Kurdish people to be terrorists. So, um, yeah, there's that. We unfortunately did hear, and this was on Tuesday, by the way. Or this is sorry, on Wednesday. We did hear about two children dying, and about 20 adults. Those numbers have risen since then, unfortunately, yes. The interesting thing that I've noticed over here, where we're safe from any of this, is all the Americans who are saying, essentially, well, I don't care about the Kurds. I don't care. They didn't do anything. Donald Trump said it's not like they helped us get on the beaches of Normandy. Yeah, no, they didn't. They didn't. I mean, they did help us defeat ISIS. In fact, they were and you have to correct anyone who tells you different, but they were the main forces who fought ISIS, not American troops. Um, and anyone who says, well, we helped them get rid of ISIS. No, 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 no. ISIS was our problem. We started ISIS. They helped us. And they laid their lives down. Meanwhile, we sent 1,500 more troops to Saudi Arabia to help them defend their oil fields, because Saudi Arabia is in the middle of committing a genocide. And the Houthi, who are of Yemen and Iranian order, are fighting back against this genocide. And even though we sell Saudi Arabia a butt ton of weapons, they apparently can't defend themselves, so we are their mercenaries in this. If you're asking, well, didn't Saudi Arabia help us with ISIS or Iraq or Normandy? No, no, they haven't helped at all. You could ask, well, what about Israel? We're good friends with Israel. They've done stuff to help us, right? No, not at all. They have made some very, very small strikes into Syria, but no, nothing like the Kurds. So why is it being talked like it's okay to abandon an ally? Well, I'll tell you why. And the main reason being is, well, we can't be there forever. No, we can't. We can't. So here's what you got to do to start pulling out. Before you pull out troops, you pull out money. But more so because of how of a mess the situation is in the Middle East, and definitely due to by proxy wars, we have to start pulling out money from countries who are doing less than noble things with our money. And the first place I would go would be Saudi Arabia. You know, the guys who financed 9/11. You know, those guys? Yeah. But no, we actually gave them more money and more troops. So when people say we got to get out of there, I call BS on that. No, that's not it at all. There's two situations that I'm watching very, very closely. Um, and I will get into those here in a second. The other way that we could start pulling out is by starting peace talks. We're nowhere near that. We don't care. Um, in fact, a lot of this started because Turkey got pissed off at Trump. Erdogan was requesting a meeting with Trump because Turkey is trying to purchase a lot of guns. There was a phone call Sunday night in which Trump said, well, we can talk over the phone. Erdogan got very insulted and he wanted a face-to-face meeting. Trump would not do that. And that's when Erdogan said, well, we're invading Turkey, or we're invading Syria. So yeah, we won't even talk. Curious about what the phone call is, and I think there is something that ties some of this in. I'm not sure. It's purely conspiracy at this point. Um, but the main point of that phone call was that Erdogan wanted to do a weapons deal. Well, what can we give them? What incentive can we provide for them to make this large weapons deal happen? Maybe a 20-mile buffer zone in Syria? Maybe our allies on a silver platter? I don't know. That's complete speculation. And I haven't heard anyone else come up with that. I don't think anyone else would say that because it is at best a conspiracy theory at the moment. But it does seem interesting that it seemed like this weapons deal was falling apart. And now we're talking to Turkey well enough to where we can control their economy, apparently, according to Trump. The other thing, and this one is also another conspiracy as to why we're doing this. We're done in Syria, quote unquote. Uh, Most of what we're doing and have been doing over there has kind of just been management. And there are prisons where a lot of ISIS members are at. And they're actually being guarded by the Kurds. Well, what if we let Turkey distract the Kurds? ISIS members go free. Now we come back with our military to fix things again. More military money. That to me is also pure conspiracy, and I'm not. I don't back. I think I back the first possible situation more than this one, but it's something to be acknowledged and to understand that regardless of it's a conspiracy theory or not, the Kurds are going to abandon their posts at these prisons, and the ISIS members, like 100,000, and that's maximum. Some people have said as low as 30,000, but hey, 30,000, 100,000. Who's counting when it's terrorists? And we're talking thousands, not hundreds. No, thousands. We're talking 18 years of work. Screw it. They're going to get free. Either way. Why would the Kurds die at these prisons protecting them? They won't. There's also some propaganda going out that the Kurdish people are Iranian. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. The Soviets back in the 80s tried to um, insert a Kurdish state in Iran. They were promptly removed because the Kurds said that they would not defend Iran. And Iran said, well, then get the F out of here. Essentially, it got darker than that. But so exactly what are we doing? And I don't know. Why do the American people suddenly turn their backs on the Kurds? And again, I think a lot of it is misinformation and not knowing the history of the Kurds. Yes, Turkey and the Kurds have been going at it for over 50, 60 years. And some say argue like 200 years. Yeah, it's true. They have. Um, but let's talk about Normandy again real quick. Hey, what side was Turkey on? You might want to look that up. It's kind of interesting. And who opposed them? Oh, you mean the guys that were on our side? Yeah, Turkey wasn't a good guy in World War II. Okay. um, yeah. So Trump, probably should rethink what he's saying. Obviously, he's not very educated in our history or military. I personally thought that he just made a mistake. And no, not just a, oh man, his my face red mistake. No, mass grave mistake. But I could see that happening because he's an idiot and he would allow our allies to be killed and slaughtered and thousands of ISIS members to escape because he just didn't know the situation in Syria. He thought he knew it. I mean, let's be honest. This is a guy who said, "Who thought healthcare could be so complicated?" Remember when he was doing negotiation talks with China? I don't prepare. Yeah, it's going great right now. It's going fantastic. Part-time president is ruining our country and global standards along with it. You have to understand that the Kurdish people are the only ones who have helped us. They are our only foothold in. We owe them a lot. Are we going to rewrite borders and give them their land back? No. We should. That's not the way to fix this problem, though. The way to fix it is that we need the people of the Middle East to rewrite their own borders. We need to give them the tools to do that and bring them all together to the table and they can instill their own borders. This was the problem. Many people act like the Middle East has been messed up for centuries. It hasn't. It really hasn't. In fact, during the Ottoman Empire, it was quite sophisticated and cohesive. There's areas in Syria where people have lived for decades, Christians and Muslims, and they got along just fine. Um, it's not Dalmascus. Max Blumenthal was talking about it, and I can't remember where he was saying. But even to note on that real quickly, to tell you where Syria was, Max Blumenthal, journalist, if you don't know him, you should look into his work. He was in Syria around the 20th of last month, and he said the war was all but over. And trust me, this is a guy who would not be lenient on what's happening there. He is in no way a propagandist. He will tell you the truth. Many times you don't want to hear it. But he said it was all but over. Now, due to the fact that Trump cannot be as diplomatic as Obama and cannot control our allies and get them to play together as one little team, because he only does 6 hours of work a day. We have sparked this giant military operation in Syria, which is going to just have a domino effect. We're going to see more and more war. Syria has now become a mass grave again, after we were finally making some headway on it. And honestly, I didn't know that. I learned that from Max. But before you go running your mouth and saying, well, we need to get out of there, we need to get out of there, because we do. Trust me, I'm a progressive. You stand outside of money, out of politics, imperialism is like right there on the list at number one, number two. But that doesn't involve leaving our allies behind. But trust me, we do need to get out of there. But before you say, "Oh, it's okay that we're leaving the Kurds," we have to cut it off sometime. If that's your feeling, then I want you to be standing on your corners, on your soapboxes, yelling about the fact that we just deployed 1,500 troops to Saudi Arabia. Where is the outrage there? Hmm? Doesn't sound like we're pulling out of anything. Sounds like we're getting further entrenched. It just depends what army is controlling us. And right now, it seems to be Saudi Arabia and Turkey. Who are we against in these wars? This is probably the biggest reason I'm talking about this is because America is going to some very dark places. Very, very dark places. Look at the Houthi. No, seriously, take your time to research the Houthi. Research Yemen. Find out what's happening there. And understand we're on the other side. Look at the Kurds. Research the Kurds. Look into them deeply. You will see that they are probably the one group of people out of any other in that region who uses logic more than the rest, who is more westernized, quote unquote. I mean, they have many women in their military. They practice different religions. They are, if anyone, like American, they are. Well, we just offered them up on a platter to Turkey. That's what our country's doing under Donald Trump. We've done a lot of messed up things, even to lands that I'm native to. And trust me, it's a problem. But this is pathetic because we may have also lost an ally we will never get again. And the Middle East may be unwinnable for us. I don't know. That's just my thoughts on all of this. Again, I hope that we can patch things up with the Kurds, but it doesn't even look like we're trying or care. I'm curious what you guys think about it, though. On Facebook, it's JDylan, JAYDYLAN. On Twitter, it's JCShowVIP. The YouTube page, Community of Thoughts. iTunes, Spotify, Anchor, Revolution Radio, or Zach Dillon, ZAKKDILLN. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you tomorrow.